guys, welcome back to Real Talk Cinema, the channel where we dive deep into the darkest corners of film, uncover hidden truths, explore epic storylines, and bring you the facts, theories, and behind the scenes secrets that make movies unforgettable. Whether it's zombies, thrillers, or post apocalyptic nightmares like 28 years later, we've got you covered with detailed storytelling, cast breakdowns, and everything in between. So grab your popcorn and let's break it down. It has been 28 long years since the world changed forever. Once a bustling, vibrant country full of life and light, Britain now lies in the shadows of its former glory. The rage virus, a horrifying man made plague born from scientific arrogance, did not just spread, it devoured. Within days, it consumed cities. Within weeks, it shredded every thread of order, peace, and civilization. There was no warning, no mercy. The infected weren't dead, but something worse. They were alive, violent, and mindless, driven by fury that could never be calmed. What started in a single lab experiment escaped into the veins of an entire nation. Streets once filled with music and laughter turned into blood soaked corridors of chaos. Families were torn apart. Governments fell. Communications went dark. London, Manchester, Birmingham, all silenced by the screams of the infected. There was no safe place, no hope, only survival. Now, nearly 3 decades later, nature has reclaimed the ruins. Vines snake up the sides of abandoned towers. Rusting cars sit idle on roads that once thrummed with traffic. The wind whispers through broken windows, telling stories of a past that no one wants to remember. Survivors are few, scattered across isolated communities, forever haunted by the memories of loved ones lost, by the sound of rage-filled howls in the dark. The rage virus was more than an outbreak. It was the death of an era, and in its wake, a new world was born. One of fear, one of silence, one where every footstep might awaken the beast again. Britain is no longer a land of people, it's a land of ghosts. Entire cities have become graveyards, monuments to a civilization that collapsed under its own weight. Concrete jungles are now swallowed by real jungles. Nature, untamed and unchallenged, has crept in through shattered glass and torn roofs. Ivy blankets skyscrapers like burial shrouds. Trees grow through supermarket floors. Trains sit frozen on rusted tracks, their destinations forgotten. There are no horns, no voices, no news, just silence. A hollow, chilling silence that hangs heavy in the air like fog. But sometimes when the wind shifts or when someone breathes too loud, that silence breaks. A distant snarl, a sudden scream. The infected are still out there, always hungry, always hunting. Their rage never burned out. It only waits. To walk these streets now is to trespass in a world that does not belong to the living anymore. Every alley is a trap. Every echo could mean death. Humanity may have survived in fragments, but the land they once called home has turned against them. Dot far off the northeastern coast of England lies Lindisfarne, a real island, ancient and airy, known in history for Viking raids. But now, it is one of the few surviving sanctuaries in a world drowned by the rage virus. Surrounded by cold waters and separated from the infected mainland by a single narrow causeway that floods with every high tide, the island stands like a lonely sentinel against the madness beyond. Jamie lives here. He wasn't always this way. Once, he may have been a father, a husband, a neighbor, but years of horror have turned him into something else, a survivor, a scavenger, a man who trusts no one except the ocean's tide that protects him. His hands are scarred, his eyes always scanning the horizon. He knows every crack in the crumbling roads, every creak in the old chapel where survivors gather. Each day, Jamie makes dangerous trips across the causeway while it's exposed, risking everything to scavenge supplies from the dead mainland. He avoids roads, he avoids sound, he avoids memory, because memory brings pain, and pain is a weakness he can't afford. Lindisfarne is safe, but it's not free. Food runs low, illness spreads, and soon, even the tides may not be enough to keep the virus out. Jamie may live on an island, but he can't stay isolated forever. Dot in the crumbling stone cottage that overlooks the cold, grey sea, Jamie isn't alone. With him lives Isla, his wife, though she remembers less and less of their shared past. Once a bright, curious woman, Isla now drifts through days like a ghost. Her eyes, once filled with life, are clouded with confusion. Some mornings she forgets Jamie's name. Other times she calls out for people long gone. The rage virus didn't infect her, but it left its mark in a different way. Her memory is a battlefield, and she's losing ground. Their son Spike is 12 now, born into this broken world. He's never known laughter echoing through parks, or what it's like to walk in a city full of life. His childhood has been one of whispered warnings, hiding in the dark, and learning to read his father's eyes more than his words. But despite everything, Spike has a spark, something rare. He's curious. He asks questions. He wants more than just to survive. Jamie loves them both fiercely, silently. He shoulders every burden, scavenges every ration, and fortifies their home day after day. He is their wall against the chaos. But he also knows Isla is fading, and Spike is growing. And one day, this island, their fragile bubble of safety, may not be enough. Lindisfarne may feel like a sanctuary, but it is also a prison of dwindling hope. Once the sea protected its people, now it isolates them. There's no fresh shipment coming, no government aid, no rescue choppers, just a group of survivors clinging to what's left, and what's left is not enough. The food is strictly rationed, batteries are rare, clean water has to be boiled with firewood that's already running out. But the real crisis, the one they whisper about at night, is medicine. Antibiotics are nearly gone, painkillers are traded like gold. And for people like Isla, whose health needs are beyond simple care, time is slipping through their fingers. There are sick children with coughs that don't stop, old wounds that fester, pregnancies that go untreated. Every soul on the island knows it. The mainland holds what they need, but it's also where death waits fast, brutal, infected death. Jamie watches Isla's condition worsen with every passing day. And in the quiet moments, when Spike is asleep and the fire has dimmed, he stares out toward the causeway toward the mainland, knowing he must make a choice. Stay safe and watch his wife fade, or go back into the nightmare to save her dot. The shadows in Isla's eyes grow deeper with each passing day. Her confusion turns to weakness. Simple tasks, breathing, swallowing, become battles she can barely fight. Medicine is a luxury Lindisfarne can no longer provide, and hope is slipping through Jamie's fingers like sand. Watching the woman he loves fade away in their cold, isolated home breaks something inside him. Desperation claws at his soul, forcing a decision that no sane man would make to leave the safety of the island and cross the causeway back onto the mainland. A land crawling with the infected, a place where death lurks behind every corner. Jamie knows the risks. He's seen what lies beyond their fragile refuge, but love drives him forward. For Ela, for their son Spike, he must gamble everything on a journey through a world turned hostile. It's a mission not just for medicine, but for a chance to save the family he's fought so hard to protect. As he steps onto the slippery causeway, the tide pulling at his heels, Jamie doesn't look back. There's no turning around. Survival now means fighting ghosts and monsters, and Jamie is ready to face them all. Jamie's footsteps echo heavy and tense on the narrow causeway, the thin, treacherous bridge between sanctuary and chaos. The sea laps ominously on either side, swallowing the edges, reminding him with every wave that this path will soon disappear beneath the tide. The mainland, once home, now feels like a ghostly nightmare. Buildings stand half collapsed, streets overrun with weeds and silence, except for the distant, blood-curdling cries of the infected. Jamie knows that crossing this cursed land is a journey into hell. Every shadow could hide death. Every noise could mean the end. But desperation fuels his courage. For Isla's sake, for Spike's future, he pushes forward. Every step is a gamble, every breath a prayer. The causeway is a lifeline, but also a trap, a narrow corridor that offers no room for mistakes. As he reaches the mainland, the air changes heavy with decay and dread. Jamie's world shrinks to one goal: find medicine, find hope, find a way back before the tide cuts him off forever. The silence of the mainland is almost suffocating. No bird song, no wind, no footsteps but Jamie's. The streets are empty, the shadows long and still. It feels like the world is holding its breath, waiting. But then, without warning, something moves fast, twisted, unnatural. A monstrous figure lunges from the wreckage. This infected isn't like the ones Jamie remembers from years ago. Its flesh is malformed, cracked open in places, with grotesque growths pulsating beneath torn skin. Its eyes glow with a cold, unhinged fury. Jamie barely dodges the savage attack. This is a new breed of horror the virus has evolved, mutated in the darkness. Faster, smarter, deadlier. The fight isn't just for survival anymore. It's a brutal war against something that's learning how to kill more efficiently. Heart pounding, breath ragged, Jamie knows one thing for sure. The old rules don't apply here. The infected are no longer mindless beasts. They are predators, relentless, terrifying, and terrifyingly human in their rage. Breathing hard and bleeding from a shallow wound, Jamie stumbles through broken streets until he finds refuge in an old hospital, a skeleton of what it once was. The walls are cracked, the floors littered with abandoned equipment and faded bloodstains, but it's the safest place he can find. Inside, shadows stretch long and cold. Then, a figure emerges from the darkness, a man in worn tactical gear, eyes sharp and wary. Eric Sundqvist, a lone NATO scout from Sweden, stranded far from home and fighting his own battles against the infected. Eric's presence is a shock, a reminder that Jamie is not alone in this desolation. Together, they share stories of survival and loss, their skills complementing each other. Jamie brings knowledge of the land, Eric brings military training and resources. But trust is fragile here. Both know that in this new world, alliances are as dangerous as the infected themselves. In the dim light of the crumbling hospital, Eric lowers his voice, eyes scanning the dark corners. He explains what Jamie has already sensed, but feared the virus isn't the same anymore. These infected, Eric says grimly, they're not just mindless monsters. Some, they remember, flickers of who they used to be, their habits, their fears, their rage. It's like the virus is mocking us, using our own memories against us. Jamie listens, heart sinking. These aren't just creatures driven by blind fury, they're cunning. They stalk, they strategize. Some even mimic human behavior, making them nearly impossible to predict or outsmart. This evolution has changed the rules of survival. The infected are no longer simply obstacles to outrun or outfight. They are hunters with a twisted sense of self, more terrifying and unpredictable than ever before. While Jamie battles horrors on the mainland, Spike roams the quiet streets of Lindisfarne, driven by youthful curiosity and a hunger for answers. His feet lead him to the old parish church, a place whispered about but rarely entered. Inside, beneath layers of dust and cobwebs, he discovers a crypt sealed tight for decades. With trembling hands, Spike pries open the heavy door, revealing a dark chamber frozen in time. The air is thick with decay and silence. Within the crypt lie artifacts of the first outbreak, rusted medical tools, torn quarantine notices, and faded photographs of people who never made it out. The walls bear scratches, desperate marks left by those trapped below. Somewhere, a broken radio crackles faintly, echoing ghostly voices. Spike's discovery is more than history. It's a chilling reminder that the virus's grip started long ago, and that the past horrors are never truly buried. Driven by desperation and fading hope, Jamie and Eric set their sights on a legend whispered among the scattered survivors, a secret underground clinic where medicine and safety might still exist. The clinic is said to be run by Kelson, a figure shrouded in mystery and rumor. Some say he's a savior, others whisper darker tales of experiments and obsessions. No one truly knows who he is, only that his name carries weight. Their path is treacherous, winding through ruined cities, dodging new breeds of infected, and navigating the treacherous landscape left by the virus's wrath. Every step closer to Kelson's clinic is a step deeper into the unknown. But for Jamie and Eric, the promise of help, no matter the cost, is the only chance to save Isla and maybe reclaim some hope for the future. As Jamie and Eric push deeper into the wasteland, their hope clashes against a new, terrifying threat. They are ambushed and taken captive by a ruthless cult that thrives on fear and control. At the cult's center stands Sir Jimmy Crystal, a magnetic and sinister leader whose charm masks a ruthless thirst for power. Crystal promises salvation from the horrors of the infected, but his price is absolute loyalty and blind obedience. The cult's followers are fanatics, ready to enforce Crystal's brutal laws without question. Jamie and Eric find themselves prisoners in a twisted society where fear is currency and dissent means death. Caught between the undead and the living monsters of mankind, their survival will depend on wit, courage, and the strength to resist the dark pull of fanaticism. Under Sir Jimmy Crystal's brutal rule, captives are forced into savage rituals, battling the infected in a twisted spectacle Crystal calls cleansing. It's a horrific test of strength and obedience, designed to break spirits and entertain the fanatic followers. Jamie, however, is not so easily broken. Using his wits and experience, he carefully observes the cult's routines and weaknesses. When the moment comes, he seizes a chance, turning Crystal's own cruelty against him. With quick thinking and fierce determination, Jamie orchestrates a daring escape amidst the chaos of the infected's attack. He slips through shadows and bloody battlegrounds, leaving the cult's tyranny behind. Freedom is dangerous and fragile, but Jamie's will to survive and to save his family burns brighter than ever. In the dim light of a hidden chamber, Jamie stumbles upon a terrifying secret. Crystal's cult isn't just about control, it's about conquest through fear and destruction. Rows of sealed containers hold blood pulsing with the deadly rage virus, collected and preserved like dark trophies. Crystal plans to turn the virus into a weapon, unleashing it against rival groups to spread chaos and expand his twisted empire. The horror of the discovery fuels Jamie's resolve. This is no longer just a fight for survival, it's a battle to stop a nightmare from becoming a living nightmare for the entire world. With this knowledge burning in his mind, Jamie races forward, knowing the stakes have never been higher. Breathless and battered, Jamie and Eric press on, their every step shadowed by the relentless infected and Crystal's fanatics. The world above crumbles, but beneath the ruins lies a hidden refuge. They descend into the darkness of an old university basement, where forgotten halls twist into tunnels and labs. The air is cold and sterile, a stark contrast to the chaos above. This is Dr. Kelson's domain, a place of secrets and fragile hope. Despite the eerie silence and flickering lights, the outpost hums with quiet activity. Here, science fights back against the virus's curse. But as Jamie and Eric enter, they realize that salvation may come at a price deeper than they imagined. In the dimly lit lab, Dr. Kelson meets Jamie with a calm, inscrutable gaze. His presence commands attention, a man who has seen the virus's horrors up close and lived to study its darkest secrets. Kelson agrees to help, offering access to medicine and knowledge that could save Isla. But his words carry a chilling warning. Isla isn't just sick. She may be harboring a dormant, hidden strain of the virus, a ticking time bomb inside her. This revelation shatters Jamie's hope and replaces it with dread. The fight to save his wife is no longer just against time and disease, but against the virus's creeping, insidious shadow. Kelson's warning hangs heavy in the air. The line between cure and curse is thinner than ever. While Jamie races against time, back on Lindisfarne, Isla's condition takes a dark turn. The gentle woman Jamie once knew becomes restless and unpredictable. Her eyes flash with sudden fury, her movements sharp and erratic. The warmth in her voice is replaced by snarls and growls that chill the hearts of those around her. Spike watches in fear as his mother's humanity slips away, replaced by something darker, more primal. The islanders, once a tight-knit community, grow wary and frightened. Ila's aggression threatens to unravel the fragile peace they have maintained for years. As the virus's shadow creeps closer to home, the line between loved one and monster blurs, forcing Spike and the Islanders to confront a nightmare they never imagined. With hope and urgency driving in every step, Jamie clutches the precious medical supplies that might save Isla. The journey back to Lindisfarne feels like the final lifeline, but when he reaches the causeway, his heart sinks. The narrow bridge connecting the island to the mainland is no longer a safe path. It's barricaded and crawling with feral, infected, wild, savage creatures whose eyes gleam with uncontrollable rage. The tide laps menacingly beneath, threatening to swallow the causeway at any moment. Jamie's world narrows to the snarling horde before him. The path home is blocked and every second counts. To save his family, he must find another way, but the infected are everywhere, and the island's sanctuary feels farther than ever. Desperation grips Jamie as he reaches for a battered radio, sending out a fragile signal over a forgotten frequency. Static crackles, then a voice. It's Spike. Relief floods Jamie's heart, but it's short-lived. Spike's voice trembles with fear, trapped inside the island's ancient lighthouse, the last refuge for him and Isla. The once safe beacon now feels like a cage, surrounded by danger. Isla's aggression has escalated, and Spike struggles to protect her and himself within the looming walls. Time is slipping away, and Jamie knows the fight to save his family is now a race against darkness closing in from all sides. With no time to waste, Jamie and Eric plan a desperate rescue. Their only chance lies in a sleek stolen speedboat hidden within Crystal's stronghold, a symbol of stolen hope amid chaos. Under the cover of darkness, they navigate treacherous waters, the engines roar masked by the crashing tide. Every second is a gamble, the infected's howls echoing behind them, and the cult's fanatics hot on their trail. Their hearts pound with urgency and fear, but failure is not an option. The speedboat becomes their lifeline, slicing through the storm toward the lighthouse and the family waiting for salvation. The speedboat cuts through the cold, restless waters, drawing Jamie and Eric back to Lindisfarne. But as they near the shore, a chilling sight unfolds before them. The island they once knew is shattered, unrecognizable. Smoke curls into the gray sky, mingling with the distant screams and the guttural growls of the infected. Buildings stand half collapsed, doors torn off their hinges, and frightened islanders run in desperate flight. The fragile sanctuary has fractured. Rumors now confirm the crypt beneath the old church, long sealed and feared, has been disturbed. Someone opened the ancient tomb, unknowingly unleashing horrors sealed away since the first outbreak. From its shadowed depths, the infection has surged anew, spreading like wildfire through the island's veins. The past, once buried, claws its way back to life, twisting the island's fate into a living nightmare. Jamie's heart pounds as he steps onto the desecrated shore, knowing that the battle to save Lindisfarne and his family has only just begun. The island is a battlefield of chaos and desperation, with infected closing in from every side. Amid the turmoil, Eric and Jamie fight with fierce determination, their bond forged in the fires of survival. But the horde overwhelms them, and Eric makes a heart-wrenching decision. With a resolute glance, he turns to face the encroaching infected alone, buying Jamie precious moments. Eric's sacrifice is brutal and unyielding, a final act of courage that echoes beyond the chaos. His stand holds the line, giving Jamie the chance to press forward to reach his son and wife trapped in the lighthouse. The cost is heavy, but Jamie's resolve burns brighter than ever. He carries Eric's sacrifice with him, fueling the last desperate hope to save what remains of his family and their fragile world. Amidst the chaos of the infected horde ravaging the island, Eric stands firm, a shield between the relentless undead and Jamie's desperate sprint. With every strike, he buys precious seconds, his strength fading, but his resolve unbroken. Eric's sacrifice is brutal and selfless, a final act of humanity in a collapsing world. As he falls, Jamie's heart shatters, but the path to his son and wife opens. Eric's courage fuels Jamie's determination, reminding him that survival isn't just about escaping death, it's about fighting for those you love, no matter the cost. Point 24. Jamie confronts Isla, who is moments away from turning, but she hesitates, showing a flicker of recognition. Cornered in the lighthouse's shadowed halls, Jamie faces the woman he loves, transformed by the virus, teetering on the edge of becoming a monster. Isla's eyes blaze with fury, but beneath the rage, a fragile spark ignites a fleeting moment of clarity, a glimpse of the wife Jamie once knew. In that heartbeat, Jamie reaches out, voice trembling with desperation and hope. It's a silent battle between the virus consuming her and the memories tethering her soul. Her hesitation is fragile, but it offers a sliver of salvation, a chance that love might hold back the darkness, even if just for a moment. In the haunting stillness of the lighthouse, Isla's fierce eyes soften for the last time. The virus's grip weakens briefly, allowing her true self to emerge, a mother's love shining through the chaos. With trembling voice, she pleads with Jamie to protect Spike, her final wish etched with pain and hope. It's a heartbreaking farewell, a silent promise passed between two souls clinging to what remains of their humanity. Then, without hesitation, Isla turns away and steps into the cold, merciless sea, choosing the unknown depths over the nightmare of losing herself completely. Jamie watches in shattered silence, the weight of loss sinking in as the waves swallow the woman he loved, leaving him to face a future forever changed. In the heavy aftermath of loss and chaos, the remaining survivors rally together with grim determination. The island's fragile safety depends on one painful decision, severing its last connection to the mainland. They build makeshift barricades, fortifying every entrance as the infected threaten to overwhelm. Then, with heavy hearts and trembling hands, they demolish the causeway, the very lifeline that once linked Lindisfarne to the outside world. The sound of crumbling concrete echoes like a death knell, sealing the island in isolation. Cut off from rescue or reinforcements, the survivors choose exile over extinction. Lindisfarne becomes a world unto itself, a battered sanctuary where hope flickers in the face of an unforgiving nightmare. In the quiet aftermath, Jamie finds Isla's journal tucked beneath her pillow, its pages worn, stained, and trembling with memories. Scrawled entries shift between confusion and clarity, a fragile map of her fading mind, sketches of Spike, phrases of love, and glimpses of the woman she once was fill the pages like fading echoes. Jamie turns each page slowly, the weight of her words pressing into his soul. This journal isn't just a record, it's her voice, her legacy, a part of her that the virus couldn't erase. Later, he kneels beside Spike and gently places it in his hands. "This is your mother," he says, his voice heavy but steady. "Read it when you miss her. She never forgot you." Spike clutches the journal to his chest, eyes brimming with tears. In a world torn apart, these fragile pages become a lifeline, a testament that love, even in fragments, endures. As night falls over the scarred island, the wind howls with ghostly memories, and silence hangs heavy in the salt-tinged air. Alone atop the weathered lighthouse, Jamie stands with Spike at his side, the journal clutched tightly in the boy's hands. With trembling resolve, Jamie strikes the ignition, and a golden flame erupts from the ancient beacon, piercing the darkness like a defiant heartbeat. The light sweeps across the desolate sea, a signal not of surrender, but of resilience. It's more than a call for help, it's a promise that Lindisfarne still lives, that humanity still flickers in the ruins of the old world. As the camera pulls back, the glow of the lighthouse grows smaller in the vastness, but it shines on. Hope, though fragile, refuses to die. The screen fades to black, then flickers back to life. Deep underground, far from the chaos of Lindisfarne, Dr. Kelson works under dim fluorescent lights. Surrounded by faded medical texts and humming machines, he examines a vial of blood, thick, dark, and faintly pulsing under the microscope. "Subject Isla," he mutters into a recorder, his voice calm but unreadable. "Dormant strain active. Cellular behavior unlike anything we've seen." He carefully extracts a glowing compound from the sample and locks it into a refrigeration unit labeled Prototype 7. Then, with a cryptic smile, he turns to a shadowed figure waiting at the edge of the lab. It's not just a cure, Kelson says quietly. It's evolution. The screen cuts to black, leaving the world wondering, will this be humanity's salvation or its final downfall? As Kelson's lab fades into darkness and the screen falls silent, tension lingers in the air like a held breath. Then, with a thunderous crack, ancient bones clatter faintly in the distance. The black screen flickers. A single word emerges in stark, jagged white letters, carved as if from stone and sinew. The Bone Temple, coming 2026. No explanation, no images, just a promise or a warning. The story isn't over. It's only getting darker. In flickering, sepia-toned frames, we're taken back to the earliest days of the rage virus, when London was crumbling and desperation ruled the halls of government labs. Dr. Kelson, younger but no less intense, stands at the center of a high-security bioresearch facility beneath Whitehall. Surveillance footage shows him in tense meetings with military officials, arguing that the virus cannot be cured, only reprogrammed. A failed trial follows, horrifying in its consequences. A test subject, briefly calmed, suddenly erupts in violence, tearing through the lab. Kelson survives, but barely. Labeled a liability and blamed for the deaths of dozens, Kelson vanishes without a trace. Rumors spread. He defected, went underground, or worse, kept experimenting in the shadows. Now, years later, as he studies Isla's blood in silence, we understand he never stopped. And his agenda may no longer be about saving anyone. As Dr. Kelson sifts through Isla's blood samples and pages of classified records, a chilling truth comes to light. Isla wasn't just infected by accident. She was exposed years ago during one of the earliest secret trials on the mutated virus. In hidden labs beneath Cambridge, she had been among a group of civilians unknowingly subjected to experimental aerosol treatments, an attempt to create immunity by controlled exposure. But something went wrong. Unlike others, Isla didn't turn. She didn't die. Instead, the virus buried itself deep within her brain, dormant but alive. The cost, her memories, fragmented beyond repair. The gift, a rare, silent mutation, a living paradox. Now, as Kelson studies her blood, he realizes the terrifying potential. Isla may be the only person who has both survived rage and restrained it. Her biology could lead to salvation, or, if weaponized, to the most intelligent and unstoppable strain yet. Isla's amnesia was never random. It was the warning label on a viral time bomb. As Lindisfarne descends into chaos and her condition worsens, Isla senses the truth she's too afraid to say out loud. She's changing. Time is running out. One evening, while Spike sleeps beside her in the lighthouse, she quietly records a message on an old handheld cassette, her voice trembling but calm. "Hi, baby. It's Mom. If you're hearing this, it means I'm not there anymore. Not really, but I want you to know something important, something true. This world is dark. It wasn't always like this, but things change. People change. But you, my little star, you are the light. You've always been the light. So no matter what happens, promise me you'll keep shining. Even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Be the light. Be the reason someone else finds their way. I love you, Spike. I'll always be with you, even if you can't see me." Spike later finds the recorder in her coat pocket, and as her voice plays, broken by static and grief, he clutches it to his chest. Tears stream down his face, but in his eyes, something ignites, courage and the will to carry on. As the lighthouse beacon burns above the ruined island, Dr. Kelson stares at a digital file marked SPK-13. Inside a locked freezer in his underground lab, another vial sits beside Isla's labeled Spike. The blood is different, not dormant like Isla's, but reactive, alive, adapting. Kelson whispers into his recorder. Subject, Spike, age, 12, born post-exposure, no symptoms, cellular resistance detected. Even under extreme viral simulation, he's not just immune, he's evolving. cut to Spike on the island, still a boy, grieving his mother. But something about him is changing. He hears the infected before they come. His wounds heal faster. His fear is vanishing. Kelson closes his journal slowly, the pages filled with calculations and chilling notes. We tried to cure the virus, but what if the real future is to become it? The screen fades to black, and the message is clear. The war for the future of humanity now lives inside a 12-year-old boy. Dot. After the infection overruns the island, Spike returns alone to the crypt where the chaos began. But as he searches for shelter, he notices something strange, a hollow sound beneath a cracked altar stone. He pries it open and descends a hidden staircase into a forgotten military bunker. Inside, rusted terminals flicker weakly to life. Dust-covered crates lie stamped with the emblem of the Ministry of Defense, and at the heart of it all, in a reinforced vault, he finds it. A classified binder marked Project Black Dawn. Spike opens it and history unravels. Initiated April 2002. Objective: weaponization of controlled aggression serum, codenamed Rager. Deployment target: domestic containment zones and foreign combat theaters. Status: unstable. Personnel loss: 87%. Photos reveal test subjects. Maps of urban zones marked for trials. Names of politicians and scientists, including a young Dr. Kelson. The truth hits hard. The rage virus wasn't a biological accident. It was a weapon forged in secret, lost to time, and now resurrected through Spike's blood. As the camera lingers on the boy holding the file, the voice of Dr. Kelson echoes faintly in flashback. To save the future, we must finish what we started. As the years drag on, the rage virus doesn't just survive, it adapts. The mutated strain sheds its old feral rage, evolving into something far more insidious. This new variant is silent. It stalks the shadows, no longer driven by mindless aggression, but cold, calculated intent. It watches, it learns, it mimics. In chilling scenes, survivors report encounters with infected who walk among them, imitating voices, gestures, even memories. Trust becomes a deadly gamble. Jamie and Spike face this terrifying reality firsthand, as the line between human and monster blurs into an indistinguishable nightmare. The virus has stopped being just a disease. It's becoming a predator with a mind of its own, hunting humanity's last flickers of hope. Beyond the shores of Britain, scattered survivors across Europe quietly rally, using old radio frequencies and encrypted transmissions to communicate. In secret bunkers and underground safe houses, from the ruins of Paris to the mountains of the Balkans, resistance networks form, united by a common goal: to survive, fight back, and uncover the truth behind the rage virus. Cryptic codes and distress signals pulse across the airwaves, hinting at coordinated efforts to contain or possibly weaponize new virus strains. Jamie's beacon on Lindisfarne is picked up by one such group, sparking hope that humanity's fragmented remnants might soon reconnect. This network lays the foundation for a global storyline, where alliances will be tested, new enemies will emerge, and the future of the world will hang in the balance. Just when you thought the nightmare was over, a shadow moves in the distance. In a remote, fog-shrouded outpost, flickering surveillance footage reveals a startling sight. Sir Jimmy Crystal, the ruthless cult leader thought dead, alive, and infected. But he's not the mindless monster we fear. His eyes burn with unnatural intelligence, and his voice, though gravelly, is eerily coherent. "The rage is not our enemy," he whispers, smiling darkly. "It's our evolution." Crystal's return hints at a terrifying new form of the virus, one that preserves cunning, manipulates loyalty, and spreads not just infection, but ideology. His survival threatens to ignite new chaos and force Jamie and Spike to confront not just monsters, but corrupted humanity itself. As the lighthouse beacon casts its steady glow over the stormy sea, The camera slowly pans to a dark figure perched on a cliff edge. Clad in a tattered NATO uniform, weathered and stained, the figure peers through binoculars, watching Lindisfarne with cold, unreadable eyes. The wind whips their coat, revealing a faded NATO insignia beneath the grime, but their stance isn't that of an ally. A faint, sinister smile curls as they lower the binoculars and speak into a cracked radio. Lindisfarne is compromised. Proceed with phase 2. The screen cuts to black, leaving viewers questioning who this shadowy watcher is, a traitor from within the very forces meant to protect humanity. The haunting promise: the fight is far from over, and the enemy may be closer than anyone realizes. Dot. The screen fades to black, silence hanging heavy. Then a haunting, layered sound emerges, a low, guttural growl, merging seamlessly with faint human whispers, voices overlapping, pleading, warning, and chanting. The audio swells, filling the darkness with an eerie tension, as if something ancient and terrible is stirring beneath the earth. The whispers grow louder, almost intelligible, repeating a single chilling phrase. The Bone Temple awaits. The sound fades abruptly, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats, hearts pounding, eager, and terrified for what's to come. After nearly 2 decades away from the franchise that launched a new era in horror cinema, Danny Boyle's return as director for 28 years later is nothing short of monumental. Boyle, whose visionary work on 28 Days Later in 2002 reshaped the zombie genre with its gritty realism, relentless pace, and emotional depth, steps back into the director's chair with a matured perspective and renewed energy. This reunion also marks the first time Boyle collaborates again with acclaimed writer Alex Garland since their groundbreaking work on the original film. Garland's sharp philosophical screenplay paired with Boyle's dynamic direction created a film that transcended typical horror tropes, exploring themes of humanity, survival, and the fragility of civilization. Their creative synergy was pivotal in crafting a story that was as intellectually engaging as it was terrifying. Now, 18 years later, Boyle and Garland reunite to push the narrative forward, exploring not just the physical horror of the rage virus, but its psychological and societal ramifications after nearly 3 decades. Boyle's direction channels his trademark style: vivid, kinetic cinematography, emotionally charged performances, and a visceral atmosphere that immerses viewers completely in a world unraveling at the seams. Moreover, Boyle's return signals a creative resurrection for the series, promising fans a blend of the raw intensity of the original with a deeper, more nuanced exploration of characters and themes. The long break between films has allowed for fresh storytelling perspectives, reflecting contemporary fears and the evolving nature of horror cinema itself. In essence, Danny Boyle's comeback is both a tribute to the legacy of 28 Days Later and a bold step into new territory. His visionary touch ensures that 28 Years Later isn't just another sequel. It's a powerful, thought-provoking chapter that honors its roots while fearlessly redefining what a modern zombie horror film can be. In a bold and innovative move, the filmmakers behind 28 Years Later embraced cutting-edge technology by incorporating the iPhone 15 Pro Max for shooting select scenes. This choice reflects a growing trend in modern cinema, where traditional filmmaking techniques merge seamlessly with accessible high-tech tools to create a fresh and immersive visual experience. The iPhone 15 Pro Max, with its advanced camera system featuring cinematic stabilization, improved low-light performance, and multiple lens options, allowed the crew to capture gritty, handheld footage with unprecedented agility and intimacy. This approach brought a raw, visceral quality to the film's tense sequences, putting viewers right into the heart of the chaos and fear. Shooting with the iPhone also offered practical advantages. Its compact size and lightweight design made it easier to navigate tight, challenging locations like crumbling urban ruins or dense forests where conventional cameras might have been cumbersome. The handheld shots lend a sense of immediacy and realism, enhancing the film's gritty atmosphere and emotional intensity. By blending this modern tech with traditional high end cinema cameras, the filmmakers achieved a dynamic visual style that feels both polished and authentically chaotic. The integration of smartphone footage isn't just a gimmick, it's a deliberate artistic choice that deepens the storytelling by immersing the audience in the fragmented, unpredictable world the characters inhabit. This innovative use of the iPhone 15 Pro Max exemplifies how 28 years later pushes boundaries not only narratively but technically, highlighting how the future of filmmaking is evolving at the intersection of technology and creativity. 28 years later finds its haunting and desolate atmosphere deeply rooted in the rugged beauty and isolation of Northumberland and Yorkshire, England. These regions were meticulously chosen by the filmmakers not just for their stunning visuals, but for the emotional weight their landscapes carry, perfectly mirroring the film's themes of desolation, survival, and fractured humanity. Northumberland's wild coastline and tidal islands, including the real Lindisfarne, offer a sense of eerie seclusion. The tidal causeway, only accessible during low tide, adds a natural tension and isolation that becomes a vital narrative element, emphasizing how fragile safety can be in a world ravaged by the rage virus. The island's sweeping views of the sea juxtapose tranquility with the looming threat just beyond the horizon. Yorkshire's moors and crumbling industrial ruins provide a stark, melancholic backdrop that evokes Britain's post apocalyptic decay. The foggy hills, abandoned buildings, and dense woods become characters in their own right, silent witnesses to the collapse of civilization. These locations give the film a grounded realism, anchoring its horror in tangible, believable environments rather than purely fabricated sets. The filmmakers took full advantage of the natural lighting and unpredictable weather of these areas, capturing brooding skies and shifting moods that heighten the film's suspense and emotional impact. This approach enhances the immersive experience, making viewers feel the cold bite of isolation and the ever present danger lurking in the shadows. By filming on location in Northumberland and Yorkshire, 28 years later achieves a perfect harmony between narrative and environment, using England's stark beauty and haunting remoteness to deepen the story's resonance and immerse the audience in its chilling world. In 28 years later, the filmmakers made a conscious decision to lean heavily on practical makeup effects to bring the infected to life, opting for a tactile, visceral realism over heavy CGI reliance. This choice grounds the horror in a tangible, gritty reality that truly unsettles the audience. Skilled prosthetics artists spent countless hours creating grotesque, decaying flesh, mottled skin, and disturbing wounds, each infected individual meticulously designed to show varying stages of viral mutation and degeneration. The makeup effects allowed actors to fully embody the physical and psychological transformation caused by the rage virus, making every infected character uniquely horrifying and disturbingly authentic. By minimizing CGI, the film preserves the texture and imperfections that practical effects naturally provide. Wet, slimy surfaces, erratic eye movements, and subtle physical tics that digital effects often struggle to replicate convincingly. Practical effects also enabled more intense on set interactions as actors reacted to real tactile horrors rather than green screen placeholders, enhancing performances and overall immersion. When CGI was used, it was carefully layered to augment, not replace, the makeup enhancing movement, adding subtle digital distortions or extending prosthetics beyond physical limits to amplify the terror without breaking the illusion. This blend of practical artistry and subtle digital enhancement gives 28 years later a gritty, raw edge that elevates its horror, making the infected feel like nightmarish creatures you could almost reach out and touch, intensifying the film's sense of dread and urgency. To bring authenticity and physicality to his role as Jamie, a hardened scavenger navigating the brutal post apocalyptic world of 28 years later, Aaron Taylor Johnson underwent intense and comprehensive training before and during filming. Recognizing the demands of portraying a character shaped by constant danger and survival, Aaron committed himself to mastering survival tactics that would be essential in a world ravaged by the rage virus. His preparation included wilderness survival skills such as foraging, basic first aid, and navigating hostile terrain knowledge that informed his physical performance and added a layer of realism rarely seen in typical action or horror roles. Beyond survival, Aaron trained extensively in stunt work to convincingly perform the film's high octane sequences. From close quarter combat and evasive maneuvers to dynamic chase scenes, he worked closely with stunt coordinators to execute physically demanding moves with precision and safety. This training ensured his portrayal was grounded and believable, never relying on stunt doubles for key moments that showcased Jamie's grit and resilience. This rigorous preparation didn't just build physical capability, it also shaped Aaron's mindset, helping him internalize the psychological toll of living in a world where every moment is a fight for survival. The result is a deeply immersive and compelling performance where the actor's body language, movement, and reactions fully embody the resourceful and relentless nature of his character. Aaron Taylor Johnson's dedication to this transformation elevates 28 years later, making Jamie's journey feel raw, urgent, and profoundly human, a true testament to the actor's craft and commitment. In 28 years later, Ralph Fiennes steps into the role of Dr. Kelson, a character crafted to challenge traditional archetypes of heroism and villainy. Far from a straightforward savior or sinister antagonist, Kelson embodies the moral ambiguity that defines the film's complex exploration of survival and human nature in a world devastated by the rage virus. Dr. Kelson is portrayed as a brilliant but secretive scientist who once worked with the British government during the initial outbreak. His history is shadowed by controversial experiments and a failed cure trial, leaving his true motives shrouded in mystery. This background sets the stage for a character who operates in shades of gray, driven by both a desire to save humanity and a willingness to push ethical boundaries to achieve his goals. Fiennes' nuanced performance captures Kelson's internal conflict and layered personality. He is at times compassionate and dedicated, yet capable of cold pragmatism and manipulation. This complexity invites the audience to question the cost of survival and the price of scientific progress when faced with existential threats. Kelson's role is pivotal in expanding the film's narrative beyond simple horror tropes, injecting philosophical depth about the nature of humanity, memory, and identity, especially through his interactions with Isla and Spike, who become key to his experiments and plans. By subverting expectations and refusing to fit neatly into good or evil categories, Ralph Fiennes' Dr. Kelson adds a compelling psychological dimension to 28 years later, making him one of the most intriguing and unpredictable characters in the franchise. For 28 years later, the filmmakers enlisted the Scottish band Young Fathers to compose the film's soundtrack, marking the band's first foray into film scoring. Known for their innovative blend of genres, mixing haunting melodies, gritty hip hop, and electronic experimentation, Young Fathers crafted a sonic landscape that perfectly complements the film's tense and unsettling atmosphere. Their score weaves atmospheric textures with sharp electronic beats and soulful vocal layers, creating an auditory experience that mirrors the film's emotional depth and suspense. The music captures the eerie isolation of Lindisfarne, the relentless danger of the infected, and the character's inner turmoil, enhancing every scene without overpowering the narrative. Young Father's approach to the soundtrack is both modern and primal, echoing the film's themes of evolution and mutation, not just of the virus, but of humanity itself. Their music feels organic yet otherworldly, pulling audiences deeper into the story's bleak post-apocalyptic world. This collaboration not only introduces Young Fathers to a new medium, but also reinvigorates the horror genre's musical traditions with fresh energy and innovation. Their score for 28 years later stands as a powerful example of how music can elevate storytelling, amplifying fear, hope, and despair in equal measure. The Boots poem, setting a dark rhythmic pulse. One of the most striking creative choices in the 28 years later trailer is the haunting narration of Rudyard Kipling's poem, Boots. This eerie rhythmic recitation immediately sets a tone of relentless, inescapable tension, perfectly matching the film's grim and oppressive atmosphere. Kipling's Boots is a poem about the monotonous, pounding march of soldiers' feet, an unyielding, almost hypnotic rhythm that evokes feelings of exhaustion, inevitability, and dread. By weaving this poem into the trailer, the filmmakers tapped into a powerful literary motif of relentless march toward doom, mirroring the unstoppable spread of the rage virus and the survival struggle faced by the characters. The poem's cadence serves as an unsettling heartbeat beneath the trailer's visuals, drawing viewers into a world where danger is constant and hope is scarce. It resonates deeply with fans, as it not only evokes the horror genre's traditional themes, but also connects the story to a broader cultural and historical context of war, endurance, and human resilience. This creative decision underscores the film's thematic complexity and artistic ambition, transforming a simple trailer narration into a memorable and chilling experience that lingers long after the screen fades to black. One of the film's most iconic and atmospheric settings is the causeway that links Lindisfarne to the mainland, a treacherous tidal road that becomes both a lifeline and a deadly barrier. To bring this crucial location to life, the filmmakers employed a sophisticated blend of practical sets and cutting edge visual effects. While the real Lindisfarne Causeway was used for exterior shots to capture its raw, haunting isolation, many scenes required a controlled environment for intense action and horror sequences. Here, the production team constructed detailed practical sets replicating portions of the causeway's rugged terrain, allowing actors to physically interact with their environment for authenticity. To extend the scope and scale, photorealistic CGI was meticulously layered over these practical elements. Digital artists recreated the ever changing tides, weather effects, and decaying structures with breathtaking realism, ensuring the causeway felt both tangible and foreboding. This seamless integration of practical and digital techniques created a dynamic setting that is visually stunning and emotionally charged. The causeway isn't just a backdrop, it becomes a character itself, symbolizing isolation, danger, and the fragile connection between the remnants of civilization and the infected wilderness beyond. The visual mastery behind the causeway sequences heightens the tension and immerses viewers fully in Jamie's perilous journey across this perilous threshold. Dot. The post-credit scene of 28 years later masterfully sets the stage for its highly anticipated sequel, The Bone Temple, 2026, using deliberate ambiguity and subtle hints to ignite audience speculation and excitement. Rather than offering clear answers, the scene leaves viewers with a chilling glimpse of Dr. Kelson analyzing Isla's blood, an act that suggests the virus's evolution could either lead to a cure or unleash an even deadlier weapon. This uncertainty fuels the mystery around Kelson's true intentions and the ethical complexities his character embodies. Further adding to the intrigue is the brief appearance of a shadowy figure observing Lindisfarne from afar, clad in a tattered NATO uniform, implying that threats might now come not only from the infected, but from human betrayal and deeper conspiracies. By ending on a haunting note, a low growl mingled with human whispers, the film teases the rise of a new, more intelligent strain of the virus, hinting at a broader, more global outbreak to be explored in the sequel. This approach effectively expands the 28 years later universe, promising darker themes, higher stakes, and a complex narrative that will unfold on an international scale. The post-credits scene doesn't just wrap up the film, it ignites a burning curiosity, ensuring fans are eager and ready for the Bone Temple.